my test is, I call it the 2-week test. If I will remember it in 2 weeks' time, then it's worth it. But the bag of chips, the package of cookies, whatever it might be that is calling our name midday, we're not even going to remember that the following day, right? Let alone in 2 weeks.
Hello, Adam. It's so great to see you. So glad to be back here.
Great to see you. It's been too long. You've been through the ringer.
You're telling me.
You're still going through it. You don't miss a beat, of course.
Hopefully. I mean, and if I do, what do we always say? Show up with grace, self-compassion. There's no rule book for what I'm going through. And just to briefly clue listeners in, my dad's been in the hospital for more than a month now, which is just crazy to believe. Ended up, I don't know, all the gory details. Nonetheless, we're still in it. We're still trying to get him over all the humps. I was gone for 2 weeks from my family, from my home. And I just kept saying to myself in the darkest of moments, this is why we train. Literally, Adam, I would say that to myself. This is why you train. This is why you train. And I tell my clients that too. I'm like, this is just training. This is training because life is going to pick up some old gritty, nasty, dirty fireball and chuck it at you. What are you going to do? So the training, you'll be glad to know, I think has helped. It's really helped.
Good. Well, as you know, we continue to think about you and your dad and are amazed by you and just your commitment and dedication. And hopefully you'll get through this, and he will too.
I think so. I mean, I know I'm going to get through it.
Yes.
And, we get a lot of people pushing my dad, so we're just going to push him through it. So we'll see. But let's do some podcast talk. Let's do some MyBodyTutor talk because it's been several weeks and we got to play catch up and we got some good stuff to talk about, right?
We do. It's been a minute, as they say, and we do. We have some good stuff, a lot of great stuff for future episodes. But today, I'm excited about today's episode.
Yeah. So what's our goal? Fit and happy.
Not
right? You always
fit and
say
miserable.
that.
Yep.
Right. Not fit and miserable, fit and happy. And I really think a key component of the happy piece is freedom. I think a lot of clients come in and they feel like they've got to give up freedom with food. And of course, there are a lot of maybe caveats or buts. Yes, but go with me, right? Like we're really going to talk today about how do we maintain some freedom with food while we work on getting ourselves healthier, whether that's losing weight or just improving health outcomes and fitness. And we want that. It is something I drill home to my clients all the time. And a lot of my clients get ahead of themselves and they're like, oh, I got to eat all the perfect foods. Oh, please, can we back it up?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
No. So what do you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the question the question is like, how can I lose weight or improve my fitness without giving up my favorite foods, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think
the one.
This will answer that. But it also will help you lose weight, lose body fat if those are your goals as well. Because ultimately this all comes down to, or what this episode comes down to, is portion control. Right. And it sounds so easy on the surface, but there is a lot to it. So dig in we shall.
Yes. Yeah. So just to give a little background, this came up, a client recently texted me that they're finally embracing the idea, Adam, that they don't have to eat perfectly. We talk about perfectionism a lot. Mm-hmm. They don't have to eat the perfect health foods to achieve their physical and health goals. Which, listen, we talk about it all the time, right? And I drill home all the time. I'm constantly encouraging people to embrace this, but it's finally happening. This client is making progress, physical progress towards their goals. And he's realizing, I don't have to, and frankly, he hates health food. That's what he calls it, health food, healthy foods. He hates it.
Yeah.
And he's finally embracing this idea of, I don't have to eat these things to achieve my goals. And there's probably a lot of argument out there for this too. But anyway, I just want to put that out there because that's really where this is coming from. And I have had a huge push recently with a lot of my clients to embrace that idea. Eat whatever you want. And for me, Adam, where that really comes from is I want people to have a foundation, really solid relationship with all food. I still contend you can have any relationship with any food you want and be healthy, right? Like we give food a lot of power. Food is powerless. It just sits there, right? Like it doesn't do anything.
Yes.
So for me, it really comes from a place like we have to get that right first before we start adding any sort of food tactics, meaning like nutritional tactics, because then if not, we go down the road of moralizing food and that's just such a tangle.
Totally.
So I'm going to put that out there. I do believe it is possible to eat any damn food you want to eat and have the health, the physical body you want, all those things. Do you agree with me?
No doubt. I mean, you're understating. I mean, the text, you didn't share the full text in the spirit of saving time, but I mean, the text message you shared with me is unbelievable. And where he started in terms of sugar addiction and food addiction and feeling like he would never be able to eat his favorite foods again to where he is now is just unbelievable.
It really is. And I remember when we first started, I was like, oh, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. You can figure out how to have a healthy relationship with any food you want. And he's doing it. And it's so exciting. It's so exciting. By the way, y'all, it took a while. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't even happen in 6 months. I'll tell you that much. So, but I see it all the time. And Adam, I know you see it. Beliefs get in the way. They get in the way so much. I just had this conversation with another client. I was like, we have to be really careful because she's starting to kind of maybe question if she can even lose weight. And I was like, whoa. We got to be careful with that. Beliefs get in the way. So I really did work with him on like, I believe we can change how you relate to food. And I'm going to show you, you can achieve your health goals by managing how much of the food you eat.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that's where this has all come from. So let's talk more about it. Okay, portion control. What comes to mind when we say that, portion control?
So when I think of portion control, I think of how do I indulge and not letting it throw me off my game, right? And like that's when I think of portion control, that's what I think of. On the flip side, or alternatively, we still need to practice portion control even with the quote unquote most nutritious and healthy food there is, because we can still overeat nutritious foods. Like one of the classic easiest examples is nuts. It's so easy to take a handful or two of nuts, and before you know it, you're having hundreds and hundreds of extra calories that you don't even think about because they are nutritious, they are healthy, right? However, you still can overeat nutritious foods.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever like finished like the salad after you've eaten like your main course? And you're like, it's just salad. I'm just going to eat it because it's healthy. You're supposed to eat salad.
Right.
But then you're like, I'm so full. I really shouldn't be eating the salad, but it's salad. I'm going to eat it.
Right. We feel compelled to eat it because it's healthy. It's good for us.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's no such thing as negative calories. Eating a salad doesn't negate the calories in whatever else you ate. If you're going to have a salad, the idea is you eat the salad first or with your main meal, for example, pizza, and instead of having 3 or 4 slices, maybe you have 1 or 2 slices. But eating food because it's healthy for us that we don't need, or it's overeating, right? I mean, I hear this all day long now lately because apparently on social media, people just discovered protein. And people are obsessing about the amount of protein they're eating. And protein is certainly crucial, helpful, it's satiating. There's all sorts of wonderful things it does. But if you're at the end of the day and you're no longer hungry and you're like, oh man, I didn't get my protein requirements, and you're eating, that's overeating. There's no reason to do that. Instead, I
Right.
think a much more peaceful and healthy way is to just build your meals and snacks around a protein, and that's it. If you're obsessively trying to hit a number and you're eating when you're not hungry, that is overeating. That's a side
Yes.
tangent though. So
It is. That's all right.
I think of portion control as indulging, but there also portion control is just every day, right? We can still overeat healthy food. But I think there's
It is.
3 ways. There's pre-meal, there's during the meal, and then there's post-meal in terms of what we can do for portion control. So let's dig in. I think the first thing to do when you're before eating a meal and you're planning to have or practice portion control, especially if it's an indulgence, is deciding if it's even worthwhile in the moment, right? So my test is, I call it the 2-week test. If I will remember in 2 weeks' time, then it's worth it. But the bag of chips, the package of cookies, whatever it might be that is calling our name midday, we're not even going to remember that the following day, right? Let alone in 2 weeks. So first thing is like, is this even worth, practicing portion control and going through this effort? Because again, many times it's not. But let's say you're going out to your favorite restaurant tomorrow night or this weekend or whatever it might be. Like, you should go for it. YOLO, right? You only live once. I want you to enjoy. I want you to be fit and happy, not fit and miserable. So the first step is this even worth it? If it is, great, go for it. If it's not, if it's, irrational, emotional, then we have other work to do. But for this specific thing in terms of portion control, let's leave it there. Does that make sense?
It does. And so I'm going to play like the counter to this, because I do think it's important that, we do have clients who prefer maybe the opposite of healthy foods. And listen, I'm a huge proponent of all food is just trying to do good,
Yeah.
right? Like it truly is. Like, I really try not to moralize foods. I try not to put one above the other. And it's interesting. I know you've been through this too. I've gone through phases in my health journey, my personal health journey, where I've definitely been guilty of moralizing foods. And right now I'm really trying to embrace that idea of like, have what I want, listen to my fullness.
Yep.
And so, kind of going with your pre-meal approach, one thing that I do with clients that really helps them be successful is to just have them set intentions for how they want to feel after the meal is done. And what this allows them to do is to show up to any food at any table and have a compass, right? Like, I had this recently with one of my clients. She had gone to visit a family member. The family member made a decision for their dinner that she wished they hadn't made.
Yeah.
And instead of like, going over the cliff in a flaming fireball of disappointment, she ate her salad first that she bought at the grocery store.
Amazing.
And then she had a modest and mindful portion of what was supplied for the meal.
Right.
And she felt great in the end. And what it took was her really setting intentions pre-meal for how she wanted to feel after it was all said and done. And that made it okay to eat anything that was presented to her.
Totally.
It just was really about like, I know there's a line in the sand. If I cross it, I'm just not going to feel good because it's too much food.
Right. Control the controllables. If you can't control what you're going to eat, or you don't want to, because again, it's a worthwhile meal, it's your favorite meal, it's a special meal, you're on vacation, whatever it might be, you're going to a barbecue, you can still always control how much you eat. And so often we give up that control because we feel like if we can't be perfect, why bother? And
Right.
of course, if we don't bother, then we just perpetuate this thing that we're trying to get away from anyway, which, we want sustainable fitness and health. We don't want this off and on mentality. So many of you who are traveling, who have things coming up, the summer is busy, we get it. This is a perfect time to practice all this. So
Yep.
you shared, just deciding how you want to think about, how you want to feel post-meal before. I think another thing you can do before eating to help with portion control, let's say you're going to a restaurant, have a little snack before you go. whether it is a handful of nuts, but again, make sure it's just a handful of nuts if that's what you want to eat, or some vegetables, whatever it might be. Have a little snack before you go. It takes the hunger edge off. Hunger is the best appetizer. That could work for or against us. If we're going to a restaurant that has all sorts of temptations, everything and anything looks and sounds great. If you go there and you're not as starving, if you're not ravenous, you can think with your long-term rational mind a little better. So having a little snack before you go can help you practice portion control.
I like it.
All right.
Anything else before, or are we ready for the meal?
I think, we decide first, you're deciding if it's even worth it, if you're going to indulge. Again, though, we always need to practice portion control. You're thinking about how you want to feel before, how you want to feel after before you start, and then sometimes having a snack before you eat. So no, I think let's get into the actual meal. Things you can do to practice portion control. All right. So here are some of my ideas. I always like to treat food as, I like to pretend I'm a food critic, right? I like to savor the flavor. I like to savor the experience, especially if I'm out to eat. So I like to do things like put my utensils down between bites, take sips of water between bites of food, really try to slow it down. So often we daydream about our favorite food, and then when we're actually eating it, we just shovel it in our face. So try to slow down the experience.
So those things are great. I feel like for some people, they're really hard to practice, right? Like, have you ever worked with a client? And I know even myself, I struggle with this. Sometimes you get so engaged in conversation or maybe what's going on around you. And next thing you know, you've like shoveled the whole plate in your mouth. You're like, wait a minute, did I eat a meal?
Right.
I don't even remember what it tasted like. So something that I will do sometimes is I'll scoot my chair back away from the table. So in order for me not to like dribble food all over myself when I eat, I have to like lean over the plate. Have you ever tried to do that for 30 minutes? I know it sounds ridiculous, but it does help. So that's one of my physical tactics. The other thing that I think, if you struggle with like all the little things, the setting the fork down, the taking sips of water, even the leaning over the plate, I think identifying halfway through your meal is a really powerful and sometimes easier kind of guidepost. So once you've eaten half of what's in front of you, that's your signal. Put your fork down.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe lean back away from your plate, and then just take a break. You don't have to be done. Sometimes I've even recommended people get up and go to the bathroom mid-meal, right? Because it just gives, especially if you're not practiced with this, yes, and you're maybe a fast eater, or it's really uncomfortable, because it is. Adam, setting your fork down and chewing a bite and swallowing it completely before you start the next one is
yeah, it's wild, and it feels so weird at first. And of course, if you're doing this for the first time at a restaurant, it's going to feel almost impossible, right? So this is the type of things you want to practice when you're home, and it's not and you don't have temptations all around you. But just the art and practice of eating slowly really is wonderful, ultimately, because it helps you digest better, it helps you enjoy it better, it helps you feel more in control.
Yes. And it gives your body the opportunity to speak. You know me, I love talking about the body and what it has to say. And so many of us are really detached from that. Or it's very easy to miss if you're not practiced at listening to it. And this gives you the opportunity to learn what it feels like when you're reaching that light but satisfied place we like to encourage finishing meals. And to learn also what comes after that. Like a lot of times when I'm teaching a client about landing at light and satisfied, we start it stuffed.
Yeah.
Or we start it full. Okay, what does it physically feel like? And if you're not eating slow enough or taking a break throughout the meal, you're never going to learn that. You're always just going to hit the wall at the end. So, if you've got creative ways of slowing yourself down or stopping mid-meal or something like that, try it on. But those are kind of the things that I would recommend.
Yes. All this ultimately gives you the chance to feel how you feel, right? So you can reach a 3 ideally on the hunger scale of 1 to 5, right? 1 is feeling ravenous, 5 is feeling stuffed. You want to feel like a 3, satisfied and light. And to your point, it takes time, right? Especially if we're used to feeling full, that could feel very comfortable and feel very weird and uncomfortable when we don't feel full. But I promise promise you, if you give yourself the gift of time and patience and stick with this, eventually eating to the point where you're full will feel uncomfortable, right? Like
It will.
you start to enjoy feeling light. You start to enjoy feeling energized after you eat, not tired and lethargic.
Yes. And for those of you who are skeptical about this, if you're with MyBodyTutor, work on it and talk to your coach about it. And if you aren't with us, well, come work with us or try it on your own. I'm serious. Like, it does work. Like, I think people think, well, portion control, you've got to tell me how many calories and how many ounces of food I should. No.
Right.
Like, it really can. It's not easy, but it is simple and it can work.
Right.
So,
and this kind of
anyway.
strategy of focusing on portion control, I mean, it's a tip of the iceberg, but it's so impactful when you master these, because it's foundational and it allows you to eat in a comfortable and sustainable and peaceful way.
Yep.
All right. Should we get to post meal?
Let's do it.
All right. So post meal, interestingly, at least to me, is all between our ears, right? There's nothing really you can do except one thing. So maybe this is one thing that you would do pre-meal. So, but I like to have a recovery food. So here's the tricky part with part of this is I'm assuming when I think of portion control, again, I think about indulgences, and most indulgences are hyperpalatable, right? Like I can eat 18 slices of pizza. I can eat an entire row of Oreos. Like these are the types of things I think about when I practice portion control, because for me, it's easier to control how much I eat with my everyday meals, my routine meals, right? But when I'm going out to eat or bring pizza in, whatever it might be, that's where it's tricky for me. So that's really where I need to be diligent and practicing portion control. And what helps me is having a recovery food. So if I bring in pizza or we go out for pizza or we get ice cream, like this is my life's work. This is all I do. Yet there are certain foods where it's just a trigger food. I can eat endless amounts of it and it's still not enough. So something that helps me is to have a recovery food. So for example, if I have ice cream and I don't want to eat a gallon of it, I will, after I have what I think is a reasonable portion, I might have a piece of fruit, or I might brush my teeth, or I might have just a different piece of food that cleanses my palate, that changes that insatiable feeling that some of us get. Some of you might be like, what? Some of you might be like, I totally get it, right? And this is really just a question of if you're an abstainer or moderator. For me, I'm an abstainer. It is easier for me to eat none than some, but that's not reasonable. That's not sustainable or desirable.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. I mean, obviously we know everybody has such different perspectives, and listening to you talk about like needing like a recovery food, something I encourage clients who are actively practicing in particular, and I know people mostly struggle for the most part, the ends of their days. Excuse me a moment, being on hospital call.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's live, right? So anyway, and it was actually the hospital. It'll be fine. My brother's on call as well. But listening to you talk about needing a recovery food, something I encourage is like a recovery activity. I wouldn't even say it's a recovery activity, but it's sort of a way to redirect the brain after we eat, right? And I think that's really the point here is like, especially if you're working on reducing how much food you eat, not restricting, but reducing the volume so that you can move towards the goals you have for your health, for your body. Your brain is still going to look for more food.
Yes.
For a while, right? Again, this is something else that's going to take time. And so what I'll have clients do is like, okay, what are you going to do after dinner? Because you know you're going to go seeking more food.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the food is. They just want more food because they're used to full, they're used to eating as much as they want, whatever the case is. So, you know, again, and to each their own, but maybe fruit would be a great one, maybe brushing teeth. Other things, night walks, foam rolling, or just stretching on the floor, or going out. Like summer is a great time. Right now, after dinner, I go out and I check the garden. And it's just a way to redirect my thoughts so that I'm not continuing to seek food after dinner.
I love it. And maybe recovery is too strong of a word, but the idea is when I'm eating certain foods, again, like Oreos, like if let's say I have some Oreos and I stop, I'm not going to be like, all right, cool, on to the next thing. My brain's going to be like wanting more of that pleasure, right? It's going to want more and more.
Right.
So to your point, what else can I do to change that? So sometimes food can just change the cravings and the desire for more food, or I can just leave the kitchen and do something else and divert my attention. So yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So we talked about the recovery food. This is all post indulgence or post food, but everything else is really between our ears, right? So, there's things like, and I mean, I don't know if we want to go into each one, but, and it's so easy to roll your eyes and nod your head, whatever, but like practicing grace, like really allowing yourself, like, what are you, a robot? Do you expect, like, here's something I like to challenge clients with, like, well, what's the alternative? Are you never going to go out to eat or enjoy one of your favorite meals again? Like, that's not realistic. That's not sustainable or desirable. So A, you're not a robot. B, allowing yourself to enjoy one of your favorite meals is wonderful, because that's ultimately going to help you stay consistent, which is what we're after anyway. That's the main goal. And one of the ways I find easiest, and that's helped my clients practice grace, is really focusing on the fact or fiction. Kind of to your point earlier, food is not our best friend or worst enemy. It's only food. And going back to the fact or fiction of, the facts are what you ate. The fiction is everything else we tell ourselves about the food we ate. And try to ignore all that fiction, because it's all BS. It's all our stories. It's all our narratives. And this is the type of work we love doing with our clients, to help you change that. But in the meantime, try to focus on the facts of the food you ate. It's just food, no big deal. And it allows you to move on, because that's ultimately what we need to do. It's just another meal. That's it.
That's it. The fact is, we eat and we ate, and it's
Right.
okay.
Right.
Right. And it does take practice, right? If we
course.
haven't been doing it in a way that supports the health we want, the physical lifestyle we want, whatever it is that we want, you have to practice doing it differently. And you're right, Adam, like the thing that I see trips people up, it's not what they eat. It's what they think.
Yes. Right. And this is the work we love doing, the MPH, right? The mindset, psychology, and habits. This is where I rub my hands together, because this is what leads to sustainable results. This is what leads to peaceful eating in a way that you don't feel like you're going crazy. But it takes time, right? And I always say, like, you do this enough, you practice this enough, it becomes routine. You do the routine long enough, it becomes habitual. It truly does, just like your client, just like thousands of our clients. But it takes time. You have to go through that messy middle, that practice. That's where the magic happens. So I think we shared a lot of really powerful tactics in terms of, here's how to, practice portion control before, during, and after.
Yep, I agree. I think we gave them good framework, good tactics to work with. And anything else?
We got to leave them with a challenge.
Okay.
So let's say, because we did talk about portion control is something we always need to practice, whatever we're eating. It's not just like on or off. But for the sake of the challenge, I want you to share a meal you recently had or upcoming meal where you plan to practice portion control and what you're going to do. So either it's in the future and what you're going to do, or something you ate and how you practice portion control. Actually, I'm going to change that. We're going to make it something in the future. I want us to think ahead. Tell me what you're going to do, how you're going to practice portion control, what the plan is. I want to hear it. I'm excited.
I like it. I love this stuff. All right. I look forward to reading the responses as well. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Until next time, take good care.